So, I made a commercial for the most useless product I could find. It's a ruler, but with no markings. Yes, this is real. From the first sketch to the final render. Alright, let's break it down. First of all, why?
But why?
Why am I doing a commercial for a completely useless product, you may ask? Well, it's simple. I wanted to improve my animation skills and upload something to the gram for that sweet clout. But I didn't want to just make something for the sake of making something. I wanted a challenge, or rather, make something stupid look legit. So, the next step was obvious. Find a useless product. Now, I had one criteria. It had to be simple to model. I wanted to spend as much time as possible on the animation itself rather than wasting a bunch of time on complicated geometry. With that in mind, I dove into the depths of the internet to find some ideas. And let me tell you, the internet never fails to deliver. I searched Pinterest, YouTube, Alibaba, Etsy, Amazon, everywhere I could think of. And the first thing I found on Amazon was this. And after getting a ton of ideas, I boiled it down to two: a ruler with no markings and a clock with no hands. Both were absolutely useless and simple to model. In the end, I went with the ruler. Why? Honestly, it just seemed easier to create a commercial for. I could compare it to an actual ruler and somehow make it look superior. Whereas the clock felt harder to sell and animate. I mean, what would I even say?
Hey folks, it's Bobby Bill Burr here, and today I have this clock that doesn't tell time. You could use it as a frisbee and throw it at your neighbor.
Yeah, no thanks. With the product locked in, it was time to figure out how to really sell it. I grabbed my notebook and started brainstorming shot ideas. I came up with 4 distinct shots and transitions to really sell the Not a Ruler. Yes, I named it Not a Ruler because I'm nothing if not original. The first shot was meant to hook you in, a mysterious, dramatic reveal of the product floating around in a dark environment. Imagine a Gillette ad, but for a ruler. The second shot was to compare it to a regular ruler and make it look better, as I mentioned earlier. The idea was to make regular rulers look boring and complicated, but the Not a Ruler is sleek, simple, and better, at least in theory. Then, for the third shot, I wanted to showcase all the sizes and colors available. I had this idea of rulers floating around, extending, collapsing, and showing off names like Crimson Ruby and Ocean Sapphire. Finally, for the closing shot, I pictured the Not a Ruler floating on a marble pillar like it was straight out of a museum exhibit. I didn't do everything according to plan, but it still turned out pretty cool. Next came modeling. I started with the objects I'd need for the commercial: a centimeters ruler, an inch ruler, a leather notebook, a matching pen, because why not, and of course, the star of the show, the Not a Ruler. I slapped on some free textures from Ambient CG. Fantastic website, by the way. Go check it out. I found this leather to use on the notebook and the upper half of the matching pen. I also found a smooth metal for the lower half of the pen. I kept the design of the Not a Ruler super simple and sleek, dark wood and some brushed metal on the sides. For the centimeters and inches rulers, I created custom textures in Affinity and applied those to make them look legit. I also modeled the marble pillar I was talking about, thinking it would make the final shot. But I ended up scrapping it because it looked like absolute ass. The goal was realism, but, on a budget. Now, before we dive into animating, let me give you a quick tip. The graph editor is your best friend. I know it looks complicated, but trust me, it's not that bad. Let me give you a basic example. If you want an object to snap from one point to another, you use a sharp curve like this. Boom. Instant snap motion. Now, if you're going for something more floaty, you smooth the curve out like this. The result? And by the way, this works in pretty much any software that allows keyframing, like DaVinci Resolve, for example. Okay, shot 1. This was all about setting the mood. I wanted that mystery vibe, dark, close-up shots to sort of tease the product, and I rendered 3 of these dramatic shots. Finally, the camera zooms out and the scene lights up to reveal the Not a Ruler in all its floating glory. Shot 2, the comparison shot. You've got the centimeters ruler, the inch ruler, and then bam, the Not a Ruler swoops in like, oh hey, look at me, I'm better. The transition here was super simple, but turned out pretty cool. Here's how I did it. I set up the entire scene of what we'll call shot 2.1. Like so. Then I saved a copy of the file, let's call it shot 2.2, so that the animation of the flying ruler stayed consistent. I then changed a couple of other things to make this shot look more polished. So essentially this is shot 2.1 and this is shot 2.2. After rendering both shots, I aligned them up in DaVinci Resolve, animated a simple mask, and it just worked. Next up, shot 3. For this shot, I wanted to showcase that the ruler comes in 3 sizes. I made the smaller ones pop out and float around while the narrator hyped them up. Then, the small ruler collapsed into the middle one and the large one followed, pushing everything off screen to the right, perfectly setting me up for that final shot. And finally, the hero shot. The ruler glides in from the left, gracefully settles down, and then fades to black. Classy. Now, at this point, all the shots were done, and the only thing left was sound design. If you've seen my last video, right here if you haven't, you'll know how important sound design is. Without sound, the animation is just this. Yeah, not great. For this commercial, I also wanted to add a deep, slow American voice to narrate the commercial, so I used ElevenLabs, not sponsored, by the way, at all. They have a feature where you give it a prompt, such as a British middle-aged man softly reading a bedtime story. And after a while, it gives you 3 voices to listen to and choose one.
The night air carried whispers of betrayal.
The night air carried whispers of betrayal.
The night air carried whispers of betrayal.
Or, if you don't like them, you click regenerate. After a bit of experimenting with the initial prompt and regenerating a bit, I landed on this giga chat of a voice.
Oh, hey there. Don't forget to subscribe.
I mean, come on. How do you say no to that voice?
Bend over and spread your...
For the background music, I found an epic track on Pixabay for free. I edited it down from around 2 minutes to 35 seconds, timing it perfectly with the commercial. I also generated all the narration I would need using Billy, the AI voice I just mentioned. And finally, I added subtle sound effects. Some mooshes here, and a few pops there. And that's pretty much the whole process from start to finish. Billy, take it away.
Introducing a new way to measure. The Not a Ruler. Inches, centimeters, it's all too complex. Sometimes simplicity is all you need. Choose the length that matches your vision. The Not a Ruler, because some measurements just can't be defined.